Hey everyone, it's Melinda here. Judging by the title, you guys could probably guess what this is about. First of all, I would like to let you guys know that this is TMI, and I am going to be very emotional throughout this. I'm going to try to be as quick as possible, letting you guys know everything that happened. And second of all, I would like to thank everyone for their support, prayers, and concerns. I would really like to thank Heather on YouTube. She is trying for baby teeter. And I would really like to thank the Womb Whisperer on Facebook. As YouTube, she is Heart Rose 33, heart spelled with H-A-R-T. I'll put their links below. Thank you guys so much for being here for me throughout this whole process. Thank you so much for everything. I don't know what I would have done without you ladies. Thank you so much. Well, as you guys know, those of you that have watched my past videos, that I have been going through a miscarriage. It's been very long, torturous miscarriage. I had been bleeding for about 3 weeks. Light to moderately, and then heavy like a period. And then on February 17th, which was Sunday, my husband had just gotten home. I hadn't felt good that whole day. I just felt really off. I've been really crampy and everything. I went to the bathroom and I heard a pop. And then I looked and I was just gushing blood. Well, I was pouring blood like a water faucet, just pouring out of me. I got so scared. I yelled for my husband and my mother, which was here visiting. They both came running. I said, I need to go to the ER, and my husband's like, how are we going to get there? I was like, your cruiser. My husband's a canine police officer. He has his own take-home cruiser. And he just looked at me. I was like, we gotta go. I was like, we gotta go now. I was like, I'm hemorrhaging. So I tried to pack myself with pads and everything, but by the time I got to the hospital, I'd soaked through everything. That's how bad I was bleeding. I walked in, I told them that I was hemorrhaging, that I'd been miscarrying for almost 3 weeks, and they took me straight back to a room. A nurse came in, she hooked me up to an IV, she took blood. She walked out of the room, she told me the doctor would be in there soon. Well, I sat there for an hour and a half, and nobody came in to check on me. Nobody asked me how I was doing. The doctor didn't come in. I started getting very upset because I'm just sitting there soaked in my own blood. Finally, I called the call light, and the nurse came in. I said, I need a doctor. I am sitting here bleeding to death. Finally, about 20-30 minutes, the doctor came in, and he said, I'm waiting for your blood results. I'm trying to get a hold of the on-call OB, which was Dr. Coleman. And I said, well, I've been miscarrying for almost 3 weeks now. I was like, I am now hemorrhaging. I was like, I am bleeding horribly. It's just coming out of me like a water faucet. And he was like, well, as soon as I get those results back and get a hold of her, I'll let you know what's going on. I'm waiting, and I'm waiting, and I'm waiting, and then finally I called the call light again. A nurse came in. She went and got the doctor again. He came back in. He seemed a little frustrated with me. I had to change myself. I had to change my own pads. I had to get up and go to the bathroom while pouring blood to change myself. I had to put my own Chuck's pads on the bed. I had to do everything myself when I shouldn't have had to. The doctor came in. He told me that the OB ordered an ultrasound, and she ordered a pelvic exam. Well, the ultrasound tech came in. She had me get up off the bed and everything so she could get me prepped for a transvaginal ultrasound. She saw the blood was just pouring out of me, running down my legs and everything, and she said, oh my God. She's like, I've never seen somebody bleed that bad before. She was like, why haven't they done anything for you? And I said, that's what I want to know. She's like, how long have you been laying here before I came in here? I was like, 3 hours. They have not done anything. I've changed myself. I've done everything. She was like, that is ridiculous. And I said, yeah, it is. She's like, you were literally laying here bleeding to death, and they're just letting you bleed to death, and they're not doing anything. And I said, no. She said, well, I got to go get the doctor. She walked out of my room. She walked back in. She's like, well, I got to do this transvaginally. She's like, I'm sorry, you're going to bleed heavier. So she went on doing the transvaginal ultrasound. And I said, you're not allowed to tell me anything, are you? And she said, well, no, but I'm going to anyway. And she told me the gestational sac was still in me, that it was measuring about 6-7 weeks. But it wasn't where it was supposed to be. It was down by my cervix. And then immediately after she was done, she went and got the doctor. It took the doctor about 15-20 minutes to come into my room. And he was like, well, I got to do the pelvic exam now. And this is the ER doctor, remind you, that has no clue about gynecology or anything. He had a hard time doing the pelvic exam, which hurt me even worse, made me bleed worse. Once he saw how bad I was gushing, he finally got things moving. The OB came into my room soon after that, told me I had to have an emergency D&E. They came and got me, they prepped me. The next thing I know, I'm waking up in a recovery room. I wasn't bleeding as bad after they did the D&E. She told me that she got everything out that she could, that there was still some tissue left behind, but my body should take care of it itself. I've never been so scared in my life. Ever. I've never been put under before. I've never had a D&C before. I'm sorry, I'm choked up. I just can't talk about it without, like, shaking and getting, like, very emotional, because this was definitely a tragedy for me. I lost a lot of blood. They sent me home the same day after the D&C. After I called my OB, they should have kept me with how much blood loss I had. Needless to say, the ER called me, checking up on me. I told them everything that happened, and they're taking it to the medical board of directors. That ER doctor is probably in a lot of trouble. I don't like to get anybody in trouble, but I could have died. And they were disgusted at how I was treated until they actually saw for themselves 5 hours later that I was not exaggerating, that I was actually pouring blood out of me. I was actually pouring blood. I hate the ERs around here. Anyway, those of you that are waiting to miscarry, if you get to that 3-week point, please call your OB, because I don't want to see this happen to anybody. And after this, I am skeptical about trying to have another baby. Even though me and my husband want another baby so bad, I just don't want to go through this again. I mean, I can't really, say that I don't want to, because I do, but I am just going to be so nervous and scared and on alert. I don't know. I guess that can be another video. I've talked long enough. I've let you guys know what went on. I hemorrhaged. I lost a lot of blood, and I had to have an emergency D&E. That's how my miscarriage ended. I will talk to you ladies later. Bye.